All right, everyone, welcome back into another props video. Going to be touching on the top prop bets for prize picks today, mostly in MLB. We are getting an awesome correlated slip that I want to start the video off with. It is going to be Taco Tuesday, so kind of an interesting dynamic with that. Let's go ahead and start out with that talking point. So today, via the 9-to-5 MLB prize picks cheat sheet, I noticed that we are getting a lot of good Baltimore props and a lot of props that are correlated. So I'll just show you guys how I got there real quick. So getting off of the team, getting off of the data correlates. And so what I'm just looking at here is that we got the full prize picks board. I'll talk about this one in a second, but what I noticed is that we were getting a lot of good Baltimore prop bets, specifically hitting fantasy score prop bets that were popping up. And we were also getting a decent pitching prop for Corbin Burnes. And so I did data correlates here. Click on that, yes. And I'm scrolling. I'm like, all right, we have Ryan Mountcastle, where you see his line is 6.5. That's off by a decent amount at 8.2 and 8.5 for the projection and average sportsbook line. That's a very good one. Notice Gunnar Henderson was also one of the better hitting fantasy score ones. Again, pretty low in comparison to how Vegas sees this game going. Then we had this one as well, where not as good in comparison to the other two, but still pretty good prop bets. So I went ahead and I did Baltimore here. And so we're going to see we have four really good prop bets here. And I really do like the idea of pairing these four up together with whichever tacos that we get available. And the nice thing about these ones is that it is going to be a later game, so we should be able to benefit from using these in a stack. And so it'd be a 5-slip bet that should correlate decently. Now, we are seeing Corbin Burnes maybe not as good, but we can see the average sportsbook line would be slightly favoring the under, well, decently, 52% for the under, but at about 36. So at 33.5, that's a decent edge. And also the projection data would like him to get 35 there as well. Obviously, if these players are getting their over-hitting fantasy score, that's going to drastically increase the likelihood of Corbin Burnes to get a W. And so that does correlate. I think that's a very good stacking opportunity to start. So that is pretty good just in general. And so I'm going to take Baltimore off because I already touched on those four here. And so we do have a conundrum here a little bit. So yesterday we saw Zack Wheeler under pitching strikeouts was a good prop bet, but one of the best on the board edge-wise was for him to get his over fantasy score. He ended up crushing. We had that exact same situation. No, I shouldn't say exact same. We're not getting his under pitching strikeouts, but we had that same situation with Zach Eflin here, where the projection data does not like the over, but the average sportsbook line would say, man, crush this over, because at 39.5, it still is favoring the over. We can see Underdog would have the line set at 35.5, and so the prize picks line at 33.5. That's a very good edge that we were getting. I like that. That is a good prop bet. Honestly, the issue today is I think we're getting too many good prop bets, but in the sense where I think we're going to be stacking, like I mentioned, we can still use the other strategy of using 5 individual prop bets together, except for one of the bets that we're going to use is going to be that Baltimore stack. And so now another one that we have is going to be Taylor Ward, who Taylor Ward has now gotten his under like 6 straight times for his hitting fantasy score here. And I think that's why the data keeps telling us to bet the over, because he's well overdue to have a good hitting day. Okay, 6 is clearly the outlier data point here. And so that is a very good projected edge that we are getting here. So again, I think obviously the line's there for a reason, because he's due to have a good day eventually here. And, who's to say that day doesn't come? I get why the data, I get why the average sportsbook line, I get why the projection data is telling us to bet the over there. And I would agree with that. We also are getting a good pitching fantasy score prop bet. I mentioned this a bunch. I would rather chase these pitching fantasy score prop bets for most of them. And so the only concern is going to be the matchup here, where defense versus pitcher, if you will. This is part, I don't know how to change it. I mean, I do know how to change this. This is from the NBA tool. I think it still makes the most sense, but he's only projected to go 5.4 innings. So if he does go 6 innings, obviously he gets the quality start. That's great. But that's the biggest concern. We can see the underdog line's at 26.5. The prize picks line is at 26.5. The average sportsbook line would have it set at 28.5. The projection data likes him to get 29.9. And if you just use his average times his projected innings, he'd be at about 28.6. So the data does really like the over here for Kyle Harrison. Another good correlated prop bet that we have on the board today. So that's one I think we can be running out there as well. And then just some other correlated prop bets that we are getting. Let's just click on that. Again, excluding the Baltimore players, because we're already running out that with a separate slip. Only some decent ones. Like, I'm fine with these other ones, but I think, okay, we're going to do the 4 prop bets from Baltimore, right? And then it'd be Taylor Ward, Kyle Harrison as 2 separate bets to pair with the taco individually. And I kind of feel like we could almost stop there. Now, I do want to point out some other ones that I personally like as well. And you could potentially run this one out, Bailey, for under his fantasy score, pitching fantasy score. That's an okay prop bet. But the one that I like is going to be Gill for over his pitching fantasy score, mostly because he is someone that has been more hot recently in terms of like pitching upside, but he is someone that is going to get a lot of strikeouts. We know that. As long as he's not surrendering too many runs, we should be good with him, but that is going to be the issue, is that he is prone to walking a bunch of batters and then also giving up a decent amount of runs. And so if you look at it as well, it's we're getting a massive discrepancy here, because he is someone that does score a lot fantasy score wise. Tougher matchup though, so it's definitely in between there. If you guys don't like that one, I get it. Like I would totally get why you guys wouldn't want to make that bet there. And if you're not making that one, we also have Lopez for over his pitching fantasy score. A decent one. This is actually going to be a better prop bet on something like Underdog. PrizePicks actually, I believe they just bumped this one up slightly to 27.5, but still a correlated bet, still a 53% edge to hit. We can see the fantasy score, average sportsbook line would be at 28.5. The projection data really likes the over there as well. So very good edge that we are getting there. Real quickly, we'll jump into some NBA. NBA-wise, nothing too crazy just yet. I want to see if we're going to get some good fantasy score prop bets, so no real reason to go in there. We'll take a peek at the discrepancies tab, and we are getting a couple of okay edges here and there for CS2. It's listed as CSGO as an FYI, but nothing too crazy there as well. So it is going to be an MLB intensive day for Taco Tuesday, and with that, let's go ahead and get into the prop bets for Taco Tuesday. So again, I always tell people the best strategy to go with for Taco Tuesday, or really any discounts, is to find the 5 best prop bets and pair them up individually. That would give you guys roughly about $2,000 throughout the year in profit just by doing that. I hate putting a number on it, but it's approximately that if you guys are making the correct decision each and every slate. This is going to be a one-off situation though, okay, where I'm seeing that we are getting a correlated stack. Now, yes, the payout's not going to be as good here because it is a correlated stack, but that's what makes this bet a very good bet. So run this one out with the tacos, and obviously, we hope that they all hit, all the fantasy scores hit, but those should correlate together, as well as Corbin Burns getting his over pitching fantasy score. Like that correlates with those ones as well. That's why I want to stack it together. And then the other 4 prop bets that I want to be running out individually are going to be Zack Wheeler for over his pitching fantasy score. This is bumped 1.5 as from what it was at the start of the day, and in this video, still a decent edge there. Still should be a little bit higher per the Vegas projections, but also the DFS-based projections that are coming in. Don't like the over as much, just as an FYI there. So a little bit of hesitation there. Taylor Ward for over his hitting fantasy score, just well overdue to get that over fantasy score. Like yesterday, that's going to be a good prop bet today. It didn't hit yesterday, so that kind of makes me like a little bit more today. And then 2 other pitching fantasy score prop bets that I like. Obviously we worry about Gil potentially getting lit up after having a very good last start, and then Lopez is just a good bet on paper as well. But that is going to be all for the Taco Tuesday video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the coverage. If you did, make sure to give a like and subscribe. Seriously, guys, give a like and subscribe. It's going to help the channel out a lot. It's the summer. There's not as much stuff going down sports-wise, so content and clicks are a little bit lower than normal. Thanks for watching, and as always, let's keep cashing.